Jobs really suck, and the irony of trying to escape it, especially after everybody telling us that, oh, if you find a good and stable job, you will be happy. This is what you should be doing. This is what a stable citizen is supposed to look like. And I threw my hands in the air last year and decided to take a job that pays significantly less money than the one before, but one that gives me a lot more creativity to do what I want there and also to have more free time outside of work. And so I started using that free time to make videos on YouTube. And after making those videos, I made friends and felt a little bit more at peace with myself because I was no longer denying the internal message I knew the world should hear. I mean, everyone, if at least every artist has some kind of message they want everybody to hear at some point. And once I finally started doing it, I recognized that money is not as important as people would like you to believe. Don't get me wrong, it's really nice to have money and you can travel. But especially when getting a job only provides you just enough to pay your rent and maybe food supply, to feed yourself, then there's not a lot of leisure included. And the leisure is the whole reason I think people want money in the first place, so that they can travel, so that they can go places, so they can buy the video games that they like. And without that, then money isn't really this thing that you chase because you want it, but rather because you have to. And then you get these idiots like the neocons saying, well, if I don't work, or if you don't work, you will starve. And I'm like, you really think anybody should starve, man? Like, don't get me wrong, having a strong work ethic and wanting to contribute to a greater community is a beautiful thing that I recognize in people. But sometimes there are circumstances in which people can't find employment and their lives are very difficult. And I think to use a blanket statement like, oh, if they don't work, they will starve. Well, what if they can't find work? Or what if they're dealing with something that doesn't allow them to function and in the idealized, expected way that many of the moneymakers have or hold true in their hearts, if they even have hearts. And I think we don't need money as much as we need meaning. The whole thing I'm getting at is I go to Lanes to do these podcasts all the time on the Tutris channel just to discuss my ideas and things that matter to me. And it has nothing to do, I don't make any money off of it. We do it every week because we need to. Because if I don't have an outlet to discuss the little ideas buzzing around in my head, then I'm not establishing any kind of meaning for myself. And I think meaning is also something you find through others. Companionship, fraternity, that kind of thing. Let me just go and focus on this. That is ultimately the most important thing that anybody could do in their lives. But these people who grew up in a prosperous time in history, the boomers, where they can get a job and make the big rocks into the little rocks and still feed your family, these folks just don't seem to get that it's not that we don't want to work in the same way that the boomers do, it's that there's just not a lot of reward. And I said this in a different video, is if you have a big rat and a little rat, and the little rat doesn't win, let's say they play a game, and the little rat doesn't win at least 3 times out of 10, then the little rat is eventually going to say, fuck it, I don't want to play this game anymore. And we never really got a chance. We never did. So right now, I don't really know what I'm going to do with my life, guys, to be completely honest. All I really care about is making art and sharing these ideas with you. And hopefully I can continue doing that while representing the ideas and alienation of, hundreds of thousands of other people who feel exactly like I do. I know not everybody feels like I do, and that's kind of the whole purpose of giving these ideas a voice. But that's what's meaningful to me. And I don't really make a lot of money on the Tantris Humble channel at all. I mean, yeah, maybe it helps me with a bill or two, but outside of that, it's not the main motivation for me. It's just because I want to. It's meaningful. And I've chased this YouTube channel, which doesn't really give me a lot of money, a lot more sincerely than pretty much any job that I've had before that. And that's like the main thesis of this video. You guys need to pursue something you want to pursue that makes the time feel like it's passing correctly. You know that feeling when you're really lost in a drawing, or you're making a song, or perhaps like you're coding some project in Python, anything that you're passionate about. The time starts to fly by, and after you've finished with it, successful or not, you can look at the time and think, well, I chose something I was comfortable pouring my soul into. No one wants to pour their soul into a job where you're standing in front of a cash register and then these people just look at you as an object in between them and their fries. No one wants to do that. Not to mention, like, you have these managers who are... These are people you probably wouldn't even lend your phone charger to be completely honest with you. You know? I think Karl Marx even said, and I don't mean to go like Marxist, but like he did say, like, the worker becomes all the poorer the more wealth he produces. You know, because workers create massive value, but that value gets extracted by others, mainly the owners, while the workers stay broke. So you work hard, you get nothing, and your boss barely shows up, gets richer, and it's basically your 9 to 5 sentence. I think, what is his name? Like David Graeber, the guy who wrote Bullshit Jobs, said, like, how can one even begin to speak of dignity in labor when one secretly feels one's job should not exist? Like, he's arguing that modern jobs are inherently pointless. Positions created basically just to make people feel like they're working, when in reality the tasks are completely unnecessary. And, you know, you've probably had jobs where you sat at a desk moving info from one folder to another, or did one thing that was completely meaningless, and, you know, the world didn't really change much as you were doing it. So, just like, jobs don't mean jack shit. And just I don't know, man, the whole world that we're finding ourselves in is, I don't want to say it's falling apart, but this whole paradigm, like, that you're supposed to work the 9 to 5 and life will just be dandy, died, I think, like 35, 40 years ago. They've been discussing this since Gen X in the early 90s, and it still shocks me that it's somehow survived on to this day. So my impression is that with the advent of AI, we're going to see fewer and fewer jobs show up, because AI can do it, and eventually we're going to have to move on to some form of UBI. And if they don't give us UBI, it's all the more reason to believe that they really don't give a shit about the little guy. You know? Like, that's another reason why I've just never really been able to take any job seriously, because everyone's full of shit, especially, like, the people in the higher positions. I think Diogenes, I think it was Diogenes, said in a famous story, he was a cynic, by the way, but he was like holding a lantern in the middle of the day at noon, and he said something like, "I'm looking for honest men," which was like totally a troll move, because he was walking around Athens in daylight holding that lantern, claiming he was looking for honest people, basically calling society hypocritical and dishonest, because, you know, it's all this is, it's all fake, it's all full of shit. So I don't know, it's like you're going on LinkedIn and I'm scrolling through it looking for a job post that doesn't sound like it's a part of a cult. And then it's just, I don't know, man. I hate work. I think it's bullshit. And it's not because I don't like working. I'm actually quite a conscientious person, where I could focus on a project for a really, really long time if I care. But most jobs are soul-crushing, and to the artist, to the person who wants actual meaning, that's not going to cut it. It really isn't. And this sort of, like, denial of meaning, like, oh, yeah, you know, there's dignity in a job that doesn't even matter in the first place. It's just gaslighting. It's all of it is gaslighting. And I don't care anymore, because essentially, you know, I don't think I'll ever work a normal job ever again in my life. In my current position, I'm very, very fortunate, but maybe, you know, I'll figure out something with YouTube, sell t-shirts, and be artistically authentic. And just if I can make some kind of caveat or like a context for this, I'm talking about the 10% of people who really think deeply about this kind of thing, people who need meaning, people who don't allow themselves to work on autopilot. probably a good 80%, 70% of humanity works on autopilot to some degree. Maybe they think, oh, work sucks, but they can handle it because they don't ask questions as nuanced as people like you and me. And that's not supposed to sound like elitism. I really just think, maybe some people are built to work jobs like that. I don't know. Kind of like going on a rant. And that's why people continue to do them, because there aren't enough who question it, and maybe there never will be. Maybe all of this is just me, wasting my breath. Anyway, I think that about concludes the rant that I had for today, but hopefully you guys got something out of this. So I will see you in the next little video. So peace.